This is our week 1 weekly recap for Education 111. At the end of the week, I like to go over everything that we've done for the week and just to make some connections for you. So we're going to start with the question I had on Padlet. Why would you want to become an early childhood educator? And these are the top 6 answers that were given by many of you. Number 1, you love kids. That's obvious if you're entering into that career, but it's definitely a big draw to the career. Number 2, you want to help be a support system for students and families and also advocate. This is especially true, many of you mentioned, to families that need extra support or students that need extra support because maybe their family is not their support system. Number 3 is this field has many career options and you have a lot of choice for what you can specifically do and what age level you can work with, so that's nice. Number 4, you all love helping people, and so this is definitely a profession where you're helping students and families. Number 5, you love watching them learn. There is a huge pool. It's one of my favorite parts of the job is that moment when a child learns something and you're there to be part of that. It's fantastic. So that's definitely a big draw to this job. And the last one is many of you feel like you would be an excellent role model to students and to families, and that's another great reason why. Another area I wanted to recap this week is the positive reasons for having inclusion in your classrooms. And sorry about that. Inclusion is where all children are in a learning environment that best meets their needs, and it's an environment where they can learn with the least restriction. So we do know that there's special education programs where children are pulled out of the classroom to learn. But if all possible, we try to keep children in the classroom for part of the day. So some positives for this would be, number 1, they are going to be learning social skills along with academic skills in the regular education classroom because they're going to be surrounded by their peers. They're going to have to communicate, and that give and take relationship will help them develop their social skills a lot more quickly than if they were isolated. They're also going to be developing friendships and gaining acceptance from people. It's a situation in most cases, especially if you're working with young children, where children are accepting of their differences, and quality friendships are definitely formed. My middle daughter started kindergarten with a little girl who has special needs and was puzzled in the beginning. She had never been around a child like this, and she came home with a lot of questions. But after about the first month, a friendship formed, and the 2 little girls were together up until this year. She's a 4th grader this year, and up until this year, they were in the same class together, and my daughter was just drawn to her. She loved her and loved helping her. And so we see these friendships form that would never be possible, and those friendships are beneficial to both children. All children can better themselves through these friendships. And the last one is for those other children, working with a special needs child helps them learn respect. It helps them understand differences. We've all had that moment where we've had a child stare or point or ask questions, and through these interactions they can learn how to interact with them, how they are different, but that's okay, and they learn respect for not just that child but also the population of special needs children out there. So these are all positives. There are sometimes negatives, and you have to take this on a case-by-case basis and see if the positives outweigh the negatives. In many cases they will. Also this week we talked about intentional teaching, and I watched a video where the teacher was working in a dramatic play center, and we saw intentional teaching going on. So what is intentional teaching? That is where a teacher is interacting and working, but sometimes stepping back so the children can discover on their own. But she is there, or he is there as a guide. So we saw in that specific video in the presentation that some examples of intentional teacher were that guided free play. The children were free to play in that dramatic play area, but the teacher was guiding what they were doing and making sure they had quality experiences. Also, a teacher is there to help social interactions be positive and modeling respect, modeling problem solving. So children don't have to figure it out on their own, but they're there with that guide. Also, we see in intentional teaching, there's a lot of questioning going on. This is the opportunity for children to develop their vocabularies and conversation skills in a natural environment, and the teacher is there to ask them questions and engage them in activities where they have to speak and grow their language. And the last one, I actually just used this word. Intentional teaching helps children be engaged not only in the activity but in the learning process, and they're motivated to do whatever is being asked of them. It's because they're so drawn to it, and that teacher there working with them helps them become more engaged. Moving on, this week one of your tasks was to go over NACCE's Code of Conduct and make sure that you felt you could agree to that code of conduct. You were to sign and date and then Dropbox it. And also, the same thing is true with the HACC program standards for the education department. You were supposed to sign and date as long as you felt you could accurately do the things you were initialing, and then send that back to me in the Dropbox. I had most of you doing that, but I am missing a few. I just want to reiterate that you must have them in your Dropbox, in my Dropbox, or you may not be part of our education program. And this is a pretty big deal, within this class. So if you have not done that, please do that now. I'll be printing them off and signing them and filing them. You can take your own physical copy, and that can go in your portfolio unsigned. That's fine. Along with the HACC Code of Conduct and Program Standards, I just want to speak one more time that if you do not have those clearances filed, you may not observe, and without your observation hours, you will be not able to pass the course. So a few of you still have some things outstanding. They go to Whitaker 211 to Marcia Schreffler. Make sure that that's getting done quickly. Observations are going to start, I believe, next week. And the last thing is, within our presentation each week, you will have opportunities to participate in online or activities that you will print or write and then Dropbox. This week there were 2 online participations, and the last slide of the presentation will tell you that. It'll tell you even what slides to participate on. I had consistently, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 5 people participate this week. Congratulations if you're one of those 5 people. If you are not one of those 5 people, you don't get your participation points for the week, and they do compile and will add up over the course of the semester. The participation points are so I know that you have done the work in the presentation, and also shows me what you're learning, and I can make sure that it's correct. And so it's very important for both of us to have those participation activities. So please make sure that you are checking the last slide of the presentation to make sure you've completed everything that needs to be done within that presentation, and then Dropbox those things that would be printed, or just complete the online activities. This week we only had online activities, so there was nothing to Dropbox, but occasionally there will be something I need you to hand in or submit, and there'll be a Dropbox for that in the week folder. So great job with week 1 for most of you, and week 2 we start Monday morning.